This is start of a great new week. Welcome to Let's Go Live with Jack Kelly. Today, I come across like I'm so happy that, but then I'm going to tell the topic we're talking about. And you're going to be like, all right, what are you so happy about this for, Jack? What's wrong with you? So I want to talk about, I want to help people who are looking for a job, who are searching for a job, to beware of lies, omissions, deceptions. I feel when I say that, Christine, we should have like ominous music in the background, right? Like dum dum dum, lies, omissions, deception. Well, what happens is this. Take it from a guy who's been running a search firm for, gosh, like 26 years now. There are a lot of honorable people in this world. There are a lot of honest people in this world, a lot of trustworthy people in this world. However, what happens sometimes when you're in a bad economy, in a bad situation, finances are tough, this might surprise you, people sometimes do things that they shouldn't do. They say things that they shouldn't say, and it could end up harming somebody because of it. And what I've seen a lot of and heard a lot from job seekers, from candidates, from workers, is that throughout the interview and hiring process, they feel that they've been misled, that they've been taken advantage of. And so what I want to do today is kind of show you some of the red flags to watch out for, what to be careful about, what to make sure that you don't fall into some trap. So the biggest thing I think happens is this. It's like the sins of omission, meaning you don't say anything. It's not that you lie about something, you just don't say it. For instance, and this is probably one of the biggest things too. Let's take from the beginning of the job search. They don't tell you, oh, you're going to go for 10 interviews and meet with 12 different people over the course of 6 months. And then we're going to ask you to write something up for us. And then you got to jump through this hurdle and you're going to go through this. They don't say that, right? They don't tell you that all the things you're going to have to do to try to get not just an interview and then to get a second interview and so forth. So they don't say anything. They don't say that. They'll just say, oh, yeah, hey, we'll interview you and it should be pretty short and don't worry about it. But instead, it takes forever. Now, if you really love the job and you love the company and you feel that there's a lot of growth, and if they tell you, hey, Jack, be prepared, you're going to have to interview for 6, 7 people over 2, 3, 4 months. Well, that's okay because you're being honest with me. You're telling me. But when you don't say anything, that's a problem because you're messing with their minds and expectations because they think, oh, this will be a normal interview, but it goes on forever. They also don't say anything about the boss. Think about that for a second. Companies will always ask for recommendations and referrals about the candidate. But have you ever heard of when a candidate says, hey, I would like to know what's in the performance evaluations of the hiring manager that I'm going to be working for? Think about that. It's very lopsided. Wouldn't it be more fair if you actually knew, and this is another kind of sin of omission, the internal recruiter or even an external recruiter, a talent acquisition person at the company, maybe an HR person, maybe an interviewer, they don't give you the full details. They don't say that, John, the manager, is a micromanager and he's a narcissist and he's a bully and the turnover rate is tremendous. So the job you're applying for now had about 3 or 4 people in it just within the last year. Now, wouldn't you think that would be fair to tell a candidate, hey, if you're going to interview, I got to tell you, the manager has a reputation for being pretty much of a bleep, being fill in the word. You should disclose that. Now, the company be, oh, we can't disclose that. Oh no. But why not? It's only fair. Like, why wouldn't you say, hey, this manager is difficult to work with? But instead, they don't say anything. And then you find out on your own, and 6 months into the job, you're like, oh my gosh, this is a boss from hell. I can't take this. How I can't, I got to get out of here. This person's making my life miserable. Now, if they said in advance, the manager is toxic or he's a micromanager or whatever, maybe you just wouldn't interview at all and save yourself time and energy. Maybe you wouldn't take that job offer because you don't want to work for that type of manager. Or maybe, you know what, you're willing to accept a jerky boss because they're going to pay you a crazy amount of money. It's an amazing company, and there's a chance to kind of grow through, grow and develop through the company. And you might take that chance. Some people may. They may say, hey, I'll risk having a jerk. I could deal with jerks. I've dealt with jerks before, but I'm making a crazy amount of money and I could see the light at the end of the tunnel, so I'm going to do it. But at least give the person that picture of what's happening and give them an honest assessment of what's going on so they know that's what's happening. Another thing, think about this. How many times have you all been interviewing, right? And they'll say, oh, yeah, don't worry. Oh, we're going to give you a nice bonus. Yeah. If you do well, big bonus, big bonus. Yeah. You're going to get a great bonus. Don't worry about the bonus. Bonus, bonus, bonus. You'll get a bonus. Oh, corporate title? Oh, yeah. Well, maybe you won't get the VP title now, but don't worry. If you do well, you're going to get that VP title. Yeah. Corner office? Oh, no worries. Don't worry. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, you want remote? Sure. We can work it out. And you know what happens? None of this plays out because it's not in writing. And this is another thing. What happens? You'll sign, the contract, the employment contract, and in it, it's one-sided because they have their fleet of lawyers who are looking over it, and then it's this army of lawyers, HR people, and everyone else, and then it's just you looking at this, take it or leave it. And then verbally, see, this is what you got to watch out for, because verbally, they'll say, oh, yeah, you'll get a bonus. If you do well, we expect a bonus to be about 20%. There'll be an annual review with a raise, and you have the chance of getting promoted within X amount of time. They'll say it. And I can't tell you how many times over the last 2+ decades that candidates come to me and say, Jack, I can't stay at this company because they promised me a bonus of a certain size. They promised me a corporate title. They said that I could go remote, and they reneged on everything. And then when I confront them with it, the people who said, don't worry, bonus, 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 you'll get a bonus. Don't worry, you got a bonus. All of a sudden, they have amnesia. Jack, are you sure we talked about bonuses? I don't really recall that conversation. Are you sure that was with me and not somebody else that you talked about bonuses and a raise and a promotion and remote? Because we don't really want remote now. We want everybody back in full time. So I'm not sure. So who told you that? Who told you that? Are you sure? And they know that that they're full of it. They know that they know that they're full of it, but then they go on with it. Now, could it be some of them just generally forget? Could be some. Could it be that they just lied because they wanted to fill a seat? And that's another thing. What happens is that in a tight job market where we are now, particularly for white collar professionals, it's very hard to find a job. It takes forever to find a job because they're tightening their belts. They're worried about the economy. They're worried about the future. So that if somebody leaves, they may not be able to replace that person. And then if they do have the chance to replace that person, they're going to want to do it because everybody else in the team isn't up in arms because let's say a few people left by attrition or what have you, there's more work. So then the boss is going to do whatever they can and say whatever they can to bring somebody in because they know if I don't bring somebody in, everything, it's just going to be chaos within the division because there's too much work, not enough people. They're all frustrated. They're all angry. And it's going to, as the boss, it's going to all come on my shoulders. So then they're going to just say, oh, yeah, don't worry. Bonus. Don't worry. If you want to work remote, you can work remote. And if you want to do hybrid, you can do hybrid. And they say it. But then when you call them on it, they're like, huh? What? I forgot.
Jack,
Now,
would you candidates get everything in writing?
Yes. See, the best thing to do is as Christine just mentioned, to get in writing. The challenge is, and this is one of the unfairness of the whole situation, how it's lopsided. You'll get, and let's say as a recruiter, I'll get a contract to be a recruiter for a company to help place people on their behalf. And it's really their way or the highway. It's a very one-way, take it or leave it kind of thing. Same thing when you get a job offer. It's pretty much take it or leave it, unless you're like a senior level executive. Then they could kind of customize it. But what's messed up is that you would think in 2023, going into 2024, you think that the human resources departments, particularly of major corporations, should have the ability, especially now with chat bots and with AI, to take the contract and massage it a little bit and put it in writing so that instead of just saying, oh yeah, don't worry, you'll get a bonus. Don't worry, it's going to be remote. You could say, wait, let's just change the contract because let's use AI or what have you. And we could change just like this, put it in writing. But no. And I think they do it purposely because if you say something verbally, it's really hard to, it's hard for them to kind of battle it unless you had a tape, you're recording it on your phone or somehow they wrote something down. But otherwise, it gives them the out to say, oh, sorry, you can't work remote. Oh, so because we said you could work remote and you sold your home in New York and then you moved upstate New York and you took your kids out of school, put them in a new school. And now because you're saying, oh, I never said remote. Now you have to take your kids out of school again and move them back or just quit and find another job, which is horrible. Right, Christine? It's crazy.
Definitely.
Let's see, what else? We got the bonus. Oh, here's another. You got to love this. I bet you how many people have got this, when you're interview. Oh, no, don't worry. Hey, the hours are very reasonable. Hey, oh, you have children? Oh, don't worry. You could drop off your kids at school. If you come in late, I understand. If you have to leave a little early because your kids have, a baseball game or ballet or what have you, oh, no worries. Right? You say that and like, oh my God, these people are wonderful. They're so nice. Then the first time that you have to leave late because, leave early because your kid has, let's say, some sporting event. And then they're like looking at you, where are you going, Jack? We talked about this, right? I have, it's base softball season and I'm, going to watch my daughter play. What? How dare you? And conveniently, once again, it's not in writing. So then they forget that they said, oh, sure. Oh, sure. If, hey, if you have kids, we totally respect that. That's okay. But then when you actually do it, they're like, huh? We never said that. Look at your contract, 9 to 5. And even there's a caveat there that if you have to work nights and weekends, that's part of it. These are the things you got to watch out for. These are the kind of things that, you have to really worry about that'll come back and hit you. So what you want to do too is you want to make sure when you're interviewing, as you're going through the process, you're going to have to ask some tough questions. You're going to have to hold them accountable. Now, it's really hard, especially when it's tough to get an interview to begin with. But you really want to kind of find out as much as possible. before you accept an offer, see if you know anybody at the company and just feel out the things that they're telling you. Are they real or not real? Can you trust them or not trust them? Go on Google, go on other Glassdoor, Blind, whatever sites that you could kind of gain some intel so you know what's happening. Because if not, you're going to walk into something and it's just not going to be what they promised. It could turn out that you have to come in early and stay late. They could have you working on weekends. You thought you could get a certain title, you don't get that title. You thought that there was going to be a certain career progression, you don't get that progression. So you want to ask the interviewers, and I know it's going to be tough, and I know it's going to be awkward, but you want to do what you can to really make sure and look them in the eyes to see that they're going to follow through on what they say. Because then what happens if they don't follow through? You're in an awkward spot. Because either you have to kind of suffer through knowing that they lied to you, and it's hard to be engaged and motivated in a job when you feel that the people who are interviewing blatantly lied, misled, held back some stuff that you should know about, and you got to smile and pretend everything is great. And I think for the company itself, it's self-destructive. Because word gets out, because if they do it to one person, that means they're doing it to a whole lot of people, and it goes on, all the time. And then what happens is that then they say, hey, how come we can't hire people? How come we can't find good talent? Well, you can't find good talent because people are starting to wise up and realize that you're just saying these things, but you really don't mean it, and you're promising these things, and you don't mean it. And the word spreads, so people don't want to work for this company. Have you ever seen that, Chris? Has that ever happened to you, or do you know people who kind of went through something like this?
I have a friend who's currently interviewing with a major tech company, and it's been like over 3 weeks for him to get like an offer letter, and then they keep just giving him like excuses after excuses as to why like the offer letter hasn't come out to him. They're like, oh, well, we're waiting on so and so's approval, so and so's out of the office, now this person's out of the office. So that was also another thing where they the process of keeping you warm, would you say that that's a lie as well?
It's so messed up, because what happens, I'll break it down to two parts, Christine. One is keeping, I love that. Jack, can you keep him warm? Can you keep her warm? Referring to a candidate. So that if you ever hear someone say, hey, can you keep them warm? That's code word for like, well, we kind of like Jack, but he's not great. He's not the best. So when I say keep him warm, it's really just like putting him on the bench. And maybe after another 6 months, they can't find anybody better, we'll go back to Jack, perhaps. So instead of being honest and saying, hey, Jack, we really like you. We think you're great. You have a lot of skills that we require. However, you don't possess X, Y, and Z. So we're going to look for other candidates that possess those skills. So we like you. We think you're good. But because the market is such, the employers do have now the luxury of taking their time and finding what they feel is the perfect candidate. So we're going to wait. I know you don't want to hear that, Jack, because it doesn't sound nice, but I'd rather say that to you and be honest, as opposed to just say, we're keeping you warm. And now you think, oh, I have a good chance. So perhaps you don't go on other interviews. Maybe you don't take an offer that was given because you felt, well, it seems like they're going to do it. So it really has a bad effect, because it can make you lose out on things. And then also, it's just stringing you along, where all you have to do is be honest. I think, even though it might sound a little hurtful, to say, hey, we want to find someone who has more of those skills, I think most grownups could understand, hey, given the set of circumstances, the way things are, we can wait out and find somebody who has exactly what we want. And Jack, you're really good. We really like you, but I think we owe it to ourselves to look. The same way with the Great Resignation, when there's so many jobs available, job seekers would do the same thing and say, hey, I'm interested in this role, but I got a couple of other offers. So unless you could do such and such for me, I'm going to take one of those other offers. It works both sides. But just, and it's easy just to be open and honest about it. And even if you say something that, hey, Jack, you don't have all the skills, it might sound harsh, but you know what? You're being honest about it. And I think most people respect when you're being honest, but don't respect when they say we're keeping you warm, but they really mean it's a last resort just in case, but chances are you're not going to get hired anyway. And you're just breadcrumbing this person along. You're just stringing this person along. And it's like, you know, you're a girlfriend, boyfriend. It's like, you're never going to get married. You're just stringing this person along, and just stop doing that. Just be honest about what's going on.
Another way they string people along is when they post fake job ads. When you say that, that's another lie, because sometimes they don't have the intention to hire. They're just either making it look like to employees that they're making an earnest effort to hire, or they're just gaining market intelligence by having you come in and seeing what their competitors are paying, or they're just building a pipeline.
You know, I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's a thing. I mean, that's a big thing where companies, and for a number of reasons, companies will put jobs online, right? So most normal people feel, hey, if you're putting a job online, that means you really want to hire, right? Of course, but not necessarily. Sometimes people, they'll put jobs out there because they feel if we're putting jobs out there, that shows that we're doing well and we're hiring and everything is great at this company. So it's creating this illusion of how well the organization is doing because we have so many jobs. Another reason could be when you put so many when you put all these jobs out there, you could get a sense of like who's applying, what they're looking for financially, how is the market? Are there a lot of people available or not? So you're getting some key market data about what's going on. And then this way you can make a decision down the road of what to do. Also, it could be that when you put it out there, you're building a pipeline for the future. So you may actually hire one of these people from their resumes, but not now. So your resume is going to go in their ATS system. Maybe 3 months from now, 6 months from a year, maybe they'll reach out to you. And this way, they're just getting all that, they're getting that pipeline and building it and building. But what's tough, and another thing is just laziness. Companies will put it on a site and they forget to take it down. And I got to tell you, over the years, I've been guilty of that too at times, where we would have a job board for the current jobs we're looking for. And every once in a while, someone's like, oh, Jack, this job looks great. And then I realized, oh no, we didn't take it down. It's we already placed somebody for that role. So sometimes it's just incompetence and laziness and forgetfulness that they just don't put it out there, that they don't take it down. The tough thing about all this is that when job seekers see all these jobs that are posted, they feel, wow, this is a good job market. This looks like everything is going well. But then when you apply and you don't hear back, and you apply and you don't hear back, then you start thinking, it must be me because they have all these jobs out there. What am I doing wrong? So that what ends up happening is that the job seekers kind of have their self-esteem eroded, their self-confidence eroded, because they're thinking in good faith, company puts job out, me send resume, me not hear back. Clearly there's a problem. And since there's so many jobs, it must be with me. What did I do wrong? Did my coworkers backstab me? Did my boss backstab me? Is, I don't know, is somebody out to get me? And they're left with these thoughts, and understandably so, like, what am I doing wrong? Because I'm not getting I'm not getting these hits. But they don't realize they're not getting the hits because they're really not hiring. They're just putting it out. It's like decoration. It's holiday decoration. Look how pretty it is. All these jobs out there. Look how great it is. We're a wonderful company. This is fantastic. But it's not real. It's a Potemkin village. It's a Fugazi. It's not happening. They're just playing with you, which is probably one of the most horrific things to do to people, because you're dangling it out, making it feel that this is real, but it's not, and just damaging their psyche. Right, Chris? I mean, it's like, that's kind of, it's like almost like mean spirited, isn't it, in a way?
Yeah, but we're being hard on HR because candidates lie too. So we should get into the ways in which candidates lie as well.
I don't believe that at all. How dare you say that? So, all right, let's switch over. So we'll be fair, right? We'll be fair. On the candidate side, just between us, okay? This is between us here, right? I get it. Listen, just that we know, from a recruiter perspective, we know sometimes you embellish your skills, you embellish your responsibilities, your achievements. Your photo is from 30 years ago, and you've never updated it. You've had, 10 different gaps in your resume, but you kind of hope, leave it off the resume and hope no one notices. When you're interviewing and they say, oh, can you do such and such? You're like, oh, of course I can do it. And meanwhile, you're like, I don't know how to do it. I'm going to have to go home and learn this. Or this is another thing. They'll put on like these certifications and accreditations from Harvard and Yale and all these top schools to make it look, if somebody's reviewing your resume really quickly, they're going to feel you graduated from this school, but you really didn't. You took this kind of night school class to get some certificate. But the way you phrase it, it makes it look like maybe you had this degree from this kind of college. So what I would say, listen, whatever you say in your resume, right? Whatever you say during the interview, you want to make sure you can back it up, because there's nothing more awkward than when the company does a background check. And some companies do really in-depth background checks, and it could go on for weeks, if not months. And then you're waiting, and then it could come back that it turns out you didn't really have some of the stuff you said you did, or they found some inconsistencies and they pass on you. And that's really awkward. What's even worse sometimes is that companies hire the person, and then time goes on, and then they realize, this person put things in their resume, in their LinkedIn bio. They said certain things that, about their accomplishments that aren't true, and we're going to just have to withdraw the offer. And that could be maybe right the day before you're supposed to start, or they let you go after you've worked there for a little while, which is horrible, because then it's going to make it near impossible to find another job because of the circumstances. So I would say, try to be scrupulously honest with, and you're going to say, I know, Jack, this is a double standard. You're just saying about all the stuff that, the companies were doing, the recruiters are doing, and so forth. Why can't I do the same? It's not fair. That's the only thing I could say. It's not fair, because it's a risk reward. The risk for you is that if you say that you do X, Y, and Z, and you're proficient in this, and you're proficient in that technology and software, this software, et cetera, and you can't do it, it's get blowback, and you could maybe you could lose your job. You could just be that guy who's kind of marginalized. So you want to do whatever it takes to really stand out, and to stand out, but not to cut the corners, not to play the game, not to just blatantly lie about it, because just It'll haunt you. Wow, that was a lot for Monday morning.
Yeah. Plus, I feel like the interview leaves candidates with no choice but to lie. And like even a question like, what is your greatest weakness? Nobody's going to outright say, well, I don't play well with others and I'm actually quite lazy. You can't bound map your boss or coworkers. So then you can't tell exactly why you want to leave. And then for when they ask you, why do you want this job? You can't say, because I just want a job and I don't really care about this company. And nobody is in Microsoft Excel. I just want to put that out there.
It's so funny you say that because it's one of those things that we all know it's bullshit. We all know this is it's like nonsense, right? Tell me your weakness. Like why am I going to tell you my weaknesses? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And my strengths. Like it's a game. It's so funny. A lot of these things, it's a game. We're playing this game, and it's silly. It's just because we're used to. It's fun with the whole hiring process. It's not. It like hasn't really changed that much in decades. Like they ask the same cliche. Where are you going to be in 5 years? What's your weakness? What's your strength? Why do you want this job? And so forth. And we all know, I just want a job. Because I want to get paid so I can have a roof over my head and support my family and they could eat, they could eat. Of course. So we play this game of answering these questions in a way, but it's silly. It's like, oh, my weakness is that I just work too hard. My weakness is I care too much. You're right, Christine. It's just, I don't know how you put which title you put it under. I don't know if that's a lie, omission, or is this like that's another one. The games we play and pretend that this is real, but they're just games. That could be a good article, by the way, right?
Yeah, and I looked up this survey that it interviewed hiring managers and what's the most acceptable white lies. And the most acceptable was complimenting the organization. So I guess that's saying, oh, well, I've always wanted to work here and not, well, I just want a job. And then in 5 years, I see myself here at this company. That's another lie where people act like they expect to be there in the long term, but really it's just like a job and they'll be gone in 2 years. And then
how can you know, right? In 5 years, you're going to be there. Like, how can you possibly know in today's day and age, right? Where everything is going so quickly, where, Sam Altman today, the big news over the weekend, and this will date this podcast, like, 6 months later, where the guy founded a $90 billion company and then like he gets kicked out. So like, who would know things like that would happen? Now, I guess he's at Microsoft, the parent company of OpenAI that owns it, however it is. Like, how you don't even know you can keep your job for a year, like let alone like we're going to be in 5 years. Where's the company going to be in 5 years? Is AI going to take over all the jobs in 5 years? You can even have a job in 5 years? It's like, it's ludicrous, right? It's just, we're pretending.
Yep, exactly.
It's so bizarre. It's so bizarre. And the crazy thing is, hiring people should be like one of the most important things that a company does. But yet, think how silly a lot of these things are. Right? You got to imagine there got to be a better way than asking cliche questions. And then if you get really smart answers for the cliche questions, then you're going to move ahead in the process. But that doesn't mean you're good at what you do and you could be good at the job. It's just that you're good at answering these dumb questions because you mastered the art of it.
It's like you say, it's all a game and it's how well you play.
That's what. So let's wrap it up with that one. I would look at this. Christine's 100% right? That the whole thing boils down to a game. It's like football, tennis, basketball, baseball. You all have your, you kind of know the rules. You know how you're supposed to play the game. And then once you play in the game, that's it. You play it to win. And the ones who cheat in basketball or the other sports, sometimes they get away with it. Sometimes they don't, So you want to understand, hey, it's really in a way, nothing personal. It's a game, but you got to be smart enough how to play the game and how to win, and not how to do something, and don't do something dumb that's going to blow you up. So I think for a Monday morning, right, going into Thanksgiving, week, and then quickly going into the holidays, I think this was jam packed with really insightful information. What do you think, Christine?
This was a fun one.
Right. So this is all.
Yeah.
So, okay. So as always, everyone, hey, thank you so much for watching. And in the notes where Christine put, the photo and the graphic about, this particular show, any questions you have, any suggestions, any thoughts, any ideas for topics. If you need any help, you need any guidance, you need us to recommend you to a recruiter, to a career coach, a resume writer, we're here for you. So, the whole vibe of this show is to help people out. So anything we could do, hit us up. We might not have all the answers, but if we don't, maybe we could point you to somebody. So I appreciate you early Monday morning, having your coffee, having your tea, watching the show, learning a little bit, having fun, and starting off the day right. So thank you so much, and have a great day. Have a great Thanksgiving, and I'll see you all tomorrow.